Republican Senator Thom Tillis says he's told the White House he will vote against Ed Martin, President Trump's pick to be the U.S. attorney here in Washington.
If Mr. Martin were being put forth as a U.S. attorney for any district except the district where January 6 happened, the protest happened, I'd probably support him, but not in this district. But at this point, I've indicated to the White House I wouldn't support his nomination.
And with that, the floodgates have opened. A lot of pressure coming from the MAGA mediaverse to change his mind on Martin, a devoted Trump supporter who made his name as an organizer of Stop the Steal, and a lawyer and outspoken advocate for January 6 defendants.
I'm sorry, Senator Tillis, you want to give illegal aliens more nuance and understanding and compassion in how you handle their cases than you'll give American patriots who dared to stand up to a contested election? And that's the reason that you can't vote for Ed Martin? Where were you when January 6ers, when your constituents were getting thrown in prison? Thom Tillis, you are very much on the wrong side of history.
Nia, just to recap here, they're mad because the senator says that the idea that Ed Martin is in support of the many things having to do with the January 6 rioters, including pardoning them and defending them. And that was the sort of the bridge too far for Senator Tillis. That's what MAGA media is upset about.
I mean, it really goes to the centrality of January 6th or trutherism, this idea that it was just a peaceful protest and a rightful protest that these folks wanted to essentially overthrow a free and fair election. So that's the kind of rhetoric you hear in MAGAverse, and that is what is going to come very strongly at Thom Tillis. I mean, he has stated that he's not going to support this person, and it also gets at the kind of fear, I think, that a lot of senators and folks in the House have in standing up to MAGA, because you will get a lot thrown at you. And listen, MAGA has proven to be violent, right, and scary if you look at what happened on January 6th.
Yeah, and on that note, just to sort of put a cap on Ed Martin and his role vis-a-vis January 6th, because he's acting U.S. attorney now in D.C. He's already dismissed the January 6 Capitol riot cases, which is one of the things that Senator Tillis is upset about. He was a defense counsel and prosecutor on the January 6 case, fired the prosecutors involved in January 6 investigations. And then what you're seeing on the screen there are some of the other issues. That was just January 6. These are other issues that senators are raising their eyebrows about. Everything from the fact that he failed to report in his confirmation process nearly 200 appearances on far-right media outlets. He claims not to recall numerous past controversial statements under oath. This is another big one. The U.S. Attorney nominee, Ed Martin, he has now repudiated an alleged Nazi sympathizer, which is at odds with his own statements that our own K-File have found.
Yes, he has a big file. The other thing about Ed Martin, which is both a virtue and a vice, depending on where people are coming from, is that he is very aligned with President Trump, has gone on Twitter to sort of take cues from the president and others, suggesting prosecutions. So that sort of separation, which I realize is a little novel, or like, behind the times at this point, but the separation between the Justice Department and the White House when it comes to prosecutorial decisions and investigations, that is utterly blurred, and especially blurred when it comes to him and his public statements about seeing himself as the president's lawyer.
There's a sense on the Hill that Tillis has kind of taken one for the team on this one, that there are many Senate Republicans who don't think that Ed Martin would be a remotely appropriate person to serve in a confirmed position.
But the question is whether or not he is taking one for the team, or whether he's going to provide political cover for other Republicans so that the president will have to either he won't get confirmed or the president will withdraw the nomination.
Exactly.
So we don't know yet.
Yes, that is sort of that's what everyone up there I think is feeling. But remember, this is politics, and so Tillis has, if he wants to be a senator again, he has to stand for re-election. He's got a difficult or fairly difficult contest next year. And so the question is, if he wants to run again, is the president and his team going to turn all of his political forces against him in a primary? I mean, Trump does have other options, by the way. He could just nominate someone else. That could happen.
But Ed
too.
Martin
Yes.
is
his
a
guy.
favorite.
Absolutely.
And then just on the idea that Tom Tillis is up for re-election, this is really one of the things that makes it so fascinating, because on the other nominees that have been controversial, Tillis was a yes.
Yep.
This is the one that which was an early indicator that Tillis was going to actually run for re-election, because we weren't really sure. This is one where he's pushing back, and it's a biggie when it comes to Tillis's own political viability, because it's going to be hard to see him not getting a Republican primary. I mean, he has some people running against him, but one that has the full support of MAGA world.
It's going to be hard to see that MAGA world doesn't come in with an incredible amount of money and try to crush him as they go through the primary, as they have said they are going to do. What is worth noting are two things. One, I don't think it matters who is going to be the U.S. attorney. I just don't. I think that Donald Trump is going to put anybody, whoever he wants in there. Tamara said it, like there's no line between the Justice Department and the White House anymore. You could put me in there, for God's sakes, or you, or you, or you, or you, and we could all say,
I'm good.
No, but I'm saying that if we didn't do what he wanted us to do, he would fire you, and then he would put somebody else in. So
Yeah.
regardless who gets into that position, all of the decisions are being made out of the White House.
Which is not normal.
Yeah,
We have to
or good.
repeat,
Yeah.
this is not typical. This is very much a departure from what we have seen for decades.